judge. Dread may be the law, but I am the judge. And today we're having another look at another fan film series. This one's called Cursed Edge. It's from a director called Oliver Hollingdale and his studio, Sunnymead Films. They're actually doing several episodes, or progs to be accurate. They've only got about 3 out of the 6 out so far available to view. I've been watching this project for a while, and it's really good, very impressive. I'll get into it in detail in a second, but I just thought it was time, since they're only halfway through, I can't wait too long for all 6 progs to be released, so let's go, now that we're at the halfway point, let's at least talk about the first 3. So here we go, let's start in with prog number 1 of Cursed Edge. So we start off pretty well. We got a nice CGI intro there showing Mega City 1. I really got to hand it to Oliver Hollingdale and his team. They really brought out, like, look at these. These are practically Hollywood big budget special effects, or not so much special effects, but film production values. Really, really stellar work. At least at first. I like this shot of the Hall of Justice as well. It's really well done, all this, the introductory stuff. You really get a feel, much like the Dread 3D film, you get a feel for the world right away. The detail on the costumes is amazing as well. You'd swear these are straight off the film set for the Carl Urban film. Now, I'm going to imagine that there must have been a few hiccups along the early production of this show. I mean, some shots look really, really high quality, very, very high caliber production value. Other shots, I mean, of the layout of the city, they look like somebody kind of rushed them from the CGI server rendering and getting it up on the screen right away. So that's unfortunate. Anyway, to keep my show a little clean, I'm just going to fast forward a bit here. Yeah, so on that note, the Oliver Hollingdale and his crew are really going for a hard R rating in this. I've got to preface this whole review to begin with. This is definitely aimed for a mature audience. You got a lot of gore, maybe not so much like nudity or anything like that, but you got swearing and a lot of other stuff going on there. So I really appreciate the fact that he's going hard R with his tone. Anyway, we're starting off the very first prog here, following some lady of the night with blue hair. Now, slight spoilers, this is actually one of our judges. She's undercover, and what she's trying to do is expose a narcotic dealer by the name of Drex.
You have to be the judge I have ever come across. Either that you're stupid or you have everything planned.
Of course I've got everything planned. I knew you were filming me. How else was I going to get your attention?
So this is our undercover judge, Judge Hollister. And it immediately showcases one complaint I have of the entire Cursed Edge series. You're going to really notice this in a lot of the episodes, or the progs, I should say. The acting really needs a lot of work. I mean, we're talking about, B films. There's probably a lot of people here who this is one of their first acting jobs, or they may have been able to get a role because they're a fan of the series, or maybe they know somebody. So we're not looking at Shakespearean actors here. I will totally give it a free pass, though, because the look of everything and the embracing of the Dread vibe is very, very good. So you gotta look past the acting. I totally beg that you do that.
He's running out.
This is your last one.
Of course it degrades into a gunfight. But I gotta say, I kind of liked her with the blue hair. And then we have a complete change of scene and a whole bunch of new characters. And that's something that happens a lot in this series. Now, I don't know if Oliver Hollingdale is trying to, spread his plot among ensemble cast or something like that, and this is his way of introducing all these different characters right off the bat, but it seems a little disjointed to me. Anyway, we've got Judge, either Copper or Topper, I couldn't determine his exact name, is out in a forest environment. Now that's actually explained later on, because how is that possible in Mega City 1? It is explained. He's searching for this soldier fella who's dressed up in camo there. Bit of a sniper, very dangerous character. Luckily, he does manage to get a sample of DNA, which is important later on in the plot. Now, I'll leave it there. Let's go on to Prog number 2, which begins with an intro of this section.
The target? A small-time crook named Rex who got his hands on a small supply of unknown narcotics.
So there's Judge Hollister doing her last time on the Cursed Edge little intro. This is the beginning of Prog 2.
Consumed half the evidence. They put up a good fight. But I always get my man.
Now, what I really like at the beginning of this Prog 2 is it's a great indicator how much Oliver Hollingdale really knows how to use his camera. I mean, we're in this forested area. How is that possible in Mega City 1, you ask? That's coming up. But he's got, like, look at this. You would swear this is something you'd see in a film or a music video or a commercial. Like, he's got great use of filters and colors. Just an amazing mastery of the camera. I really like what he's done here. Let me get a little more information about Judge Topper, Copper, whatever his name is. And then that leads us back to where we were at the end of Prog 1. Now this is where it gets a little weird. Right after that intro, we got our opening credits, and then we completely change scenes again. What we're looking at now is actually a different production. Apparently, now I don't know exactly what happened here, but there was an American production also going on to make a little Dread fan film called The Deep End. And I'm going to review that separately because I think it deserves its own mention. But for whatever reason, the people behind The Deep End production spoke with Oliver Hollingdale and had their sequences inserted into Prog number 2. And I believe some of it even shows up in Prog number 3 as well. It's kind of interesting. I mean, I like more judges. That's definitely a good thing. But why this sudden disjointed bunch of new characters? It seems very, very odd, and I'm not quite sure why it happened. But yeah, you're suddenly introduced to more judges doing something else completely unrelated to Judge Hollister and her investigation. Unfortunately, this is one of those shots of Mega City 1 that does not look fantastic. Sometimes the graphics are amazing, and sometimes they look like they just came off somebody's computer. Judge Hollister has just returned to the Halls of Justice. She's reporting into Judge Turpin, and again, the acting really, take it with a grain of salt, if you can.
On Hollister.
I've been back 5 minutes, Turpin, and you're already on my case.
Welcome back. How was your little undercover case in the Pleasure District?
Fine. A little messy towards the end, but ultimately successful.
You didn't execute him? You got soft, Yvonne?
They were using an unknown narcotic. I needed to keep him alive to find out more about the substance and where it comes from.
Incoming message.
It's important to note that narcotic is very central to the plot.
I always preferred you with the blue hair.
Yeah, so we're not alone. One important thing with this sequence here, it actually shows some of the problems. This framing is actually not very well done. I mean, the music is talking over Turpin, playing over Turpin, and the graphics in front of him, although they look nice in space age, it doesn't come across right.
Seriously.
Yeah, sort of a case of less is more. But anyway, so the main central control lady there has advised Judge Turpin that that Judge Topper or Copper has gone missing. So Turpin's decided to assign it to Judge Ames. And he's got a new partner from Britsit, Judge LaBelle. And I always thought it was odd. Why would a fellow from Britsit, and he does have a British accent, LaBelle? That's not very British to me. Whatever. Well, get ready for more of that stellar acting.
Just past Tucker in the atrium. He looked moody today. Well, more than usual.
He refused the assignment. Thought it was beneath his abilities.
Really? Now there's a surprise. Why me? Why not Dredd?
Okay, well, let me ease some of that pain for you. Judge Ames is a fellow we're going to be following, and he's being assigned the partner, Judge LaBelle from Britsit, as I mentioned. Why? Well, Judge LaBelle is apparently in Mega City 1, tracking down a perp called Geek Gorgon, who is releasing out this new narcotic. That's what Judge Hollister was all about at the beginning of Prog One. Now, again, this is very disjointed. I mean, I only figured these pieces out by reading online and also watching the episode a few times in a row. But regardless, so that's why Judge LaBelle is here, and the two of them have been assigned to actually track down that DNA sequence that Judge Topper or Copper managed to run through his bioscan just before, in the wood sequence. Now, apparently what that relates to, the DNA scan, it's some code name of the Bloodletter. That's who that sniper is. And they don't know much about him. So what do? They go and investigate, or they go and interrogate an old soldier who once worked with this Bloodletter military sniper guy.
What can I do for you fine, upstanding gentlemen of the law?
We would like to talk to you about an old comrade of yours from before the war. We're missing some information on that file. Wonder if you could fill in some blanks.
Okay, again, I'm going to bypass some of that pain for you. This fella doing the old general or whatever kind of soldier he's trying to be. I think he's trying his best to like chew up the scenery. I figure he just thought, all right, I'm in this B film, this fan little production, and I'm going to have a bit of fun with it. Man, that really comes across painful sometimes.
I didn't know I lied, Tamer's units.
Anyway, so he says Bloodletter is holed up in Geo, which is this biodome. That's where the forest footage is coming from. And he does mention, be careful, Bloodletter is a real super soldier, and if you go in there, be prepared to die. So, wow, he must be a really good sniper.
Many died to leave before he's gotten to you, and it's a triple murder.
Now here comes some great sequences from Oliver Hollingdale. Here we are on The Lawgiver, and there's a couple of amazing shots here that look like they're straight from a Hollywood film. Check this out. We're headed to the biodome. Look at that. So Ames and LaBelle, they arrive at Geo, the biodome. I'm actually going to find there's another little bit that unfortunately shows how stellar that biodome looks in one shot, and then just how terrible it looks in the following shot. Love that shot. And then it turns to crap. Unfortunately, that happens a lot in this production. So Prog 2 ends with Ames and LaBelle going into the Geo biodome. It's a pretty long episode, longer than the other Progs. Now, unfortunately, Prog number 3 is where things really start to fall apart as far as the series goes. I hate to say it, but I think Oliver Hollingdale might have been suffering a little bit of fatigue from production at this point because He's got some more the deep end footage at the beginning. Now then we jump over to Judge Hollister for a sequence that doesn't really seem to need to be established. Then we get back to Ames and LaBelle.
Well, look what we have here. The show we do to judges in our house.
The one thing that does remain consistent is the stellar acting. Fight sequences are awesome too.
There's a new narcotic, a red substance.
You're a pass.
As worth noting there, that line about the red substance, that's that narcotic that Judge Hollister's been looking for. So I guess I haven't been able to research this very clearly, but it's almost like the people who made The Deep End, who are out of the U.S., they must have been collaborating with Oliver Hollingdale and his group for the Cursed Edge footage. But if these two are supposed to be working together to make a cohesive story, it just doesn't come across that way. I'm sorry. What's even stranger is now we've got more footage of the bloodletter making his camp. Why? And now we do another jump in the story, but I think this is to actually establish stuff. We're back with Judge Hollister, and she's meeting up with Dirty Frank, who's actually a character from the 2000 AD comic. And I think it's just she's asking, where does this red powder come from? He's not terribly clear in his answers. I don't know if this is like a cameo or what, or if this is actually to show that Judge Hollister is in fact investigating the red powder, the new narcotic.
Dude, when the pretty lady is charging around here, like the proverbial bull in the metaphorical trainer shop.
I'm sorry, Frank. You're the only person I know who might be able to help me. Know anything about this?
Again, maybe they're combining both stories, but it's not very clear. It just comes across as disjointed.
It looks like powder right intestine.
Oh, and I don't know if everybody else in the audience caught that or not, but he is wearing a 2000 AD pin. That was a bit weird. And then we just jump to the docks. This is where the show is really starting to fall apart for me. And also, if you look at some of the production value here, this was obviously filmed just down at some docks with some city in the background. I mean, there's no kind of an effort to dress it up like Mega City 1 at all. Again, I'm getting a feeling that maybe the production is starting to give Oliver Hollingdale a bit of a hard time by now. Which is too bad, because I really think he's delivering a stellar product. As an example, here comes one of the dock workers to talk to the ship captain who's bringing in that red powder. There's no attempt to make him look like he's from Mega City 1. I mean, there's no futuristic look to that at all. He looks like a dock worker. This fella tries out the new drug.
Feels like I just been hit by a truck.
I hope he said hit by a truck, because if he says I feel like I've just had a drug, you have. Anyway, and again, here we are on the docks, and doesn't this look like it was filmed just in your local dock area? Sure, they shoot down a drone, but outside of that, I'm really disappointed that all of the polish and the great production values we've seen up to this point are now just kind of being forgotten. And then we're back with Ames and LaBelle in the Biodome. This story is all over the place. I mean, they do try to throw in lines of dialogue. There's one coming up about the red powder in a minute, and the fact that LaBelle is here to find that geek Orgon fella who is a narcotics dealer in Brexit. But it's very, very random.
That's why I'm here.
And the bloodletter has got him in his sights, and he's only got one bullet? Are you kidding me? I thought this guy was like a sharpshooter master. That old military guy said, oh, he's one of the best. He's only got one bullet in his gun? That's ridiculous. The prog ends on a bit of a cliffhanger. They discover this hatch that goes somewhere. And then they roll the credits. So what's my final verdict on the Cursed Edge progs? Overall, I'm going to have to give it a pass. I don't like to do that because the first one really impressed me, except for the acting. And I thought to myself, yeah, we got some great camera work, production value, an original score. Remember, all that music is original. And the costumes, everything, except for the acting, is actually really, really good. So I was ready to give it a commendation. But after Prog number 3 kind of fell apart there, and the overall storyline was left, right, and center and never really cohesive, I'm afraid up to this stage, I'm going to have to give The Cursed Edge a pass for now. Prog number 4 is apparently coming soon, and with luck that'll bring us back up to the quality that the other progs were showing. And I believe the entire series is going to be 6 episodes, so I'll do a final review when all of them are out. But for now, it's a pass. And until next time, stay out of trouble.